If you all would stand while I do the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we thank you for each and every one that is here today. Heavenly Father, as we are gathering today to have our budget workshop, help us to exert our energy towards working together, looking objectively at our budget. Heavenly Father, allow us to hear from each of the departments that are presenting and those who are presenting with us today. And bless our meeting and help us to use the wisdom that you've granted to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Congratulations
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we're going to have the budget presentations. And the first one coming forward is the Community Development CHIP Program.
Good evening, Chairwoman and Commissioners.
Just a second, Kelly.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay.
I apologize.
It's okay. For it to just load.
No, you're fine.
All right, Kelly, there you go.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Good evening again, Chairwoman and Commissioners. Before you will see the SHIP 26-27 budget. The current request, the summary is slightly increased, and that is just for employee benefits. Nothing else has been increased for that portion. And then if you look at operational cost, there you go. We just decreased it slightly for just the rehab, because we haven't been quite doing as many as that, and put that towards the demo, so that cost stayed the same as well. And I do not have I do not have any new items requested. And that's about all my budget. If you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the board?
I just have a quick question. On the rehabs and on the septic systems and all that, how's that been going as far as the evaluations? And it seems like for a while it was not hitting the target.
It is a little harder currently because Alachua County is doing it, but I'll get with Rod, and we're trying to coordinate getting a better stance on that before they get started. It's just harder to get them there prior to, the initial inspection. And once we know what's there, sometimes it's over the cost that was initially estimated.
Are you seeing that on most of the?
Not all of them,
Okay,
just a few.
just a
Yes,
few,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah, and it determines the age of the home, has a lot to do with it as well.
right. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say, if you don't mind,
Michelle?
you do a great job keeping your costs low. Sometimes I worry about you, that you're
Yes,
cutting
ma'am.
something that you, like computers, things, and,
Yes.
but, thank you for the hard work that you put into this, because you always seem to come below what you
Yes,
did
ma'am.
last year.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I know that takes a lot of effort, so
Yes, ma'am.
just make sure you take care of yourself.
Oh, yes, ma'am, I do. Thank you. Y'all have any other questions?
Any further questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next we have the Veterans Affairs.
Okay, the only change that I have, and actually, it's in regards to increase on travel and per diem. Because at this moment in time, I do both Bradford and Union County. So when it comes to travel per diem and so forth, we split it. So Union County has been paying for my hotels. But, because I'm going to be retiring this year, I don't know for sure if my replacement in either county will work, be the same person, or if it'd be two separate people. So that's the only reason that my budget has increased. Do y'all have any questions?
Any questions from the board?
All right.
Thank you, you do a
Thank
great job
you.
helping our veterans.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right. Next, we'll have the senior center.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My budget hasn't really changed over the last year. Everything's still the same. Not anticipating any changing, so at this time. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Okay, that's good. All right, and next is the agriculture, IFAS.
Commissioners, Cindy Sanders, Ag Extension here in Bradford. Our budget is also remains the same from this year, FY '26 to FY '27. No increases or no changes. I just do remind you that in your salaries, that UF IFAS pays, you have 3 extension agents, and UF IFAS pays 60% of that, and the Board of County Commissioners pays about 40%. So, and then all the benefits is on the UF side for those 3 faculty, so. Just a reminder, but other than that, we have no increases or no enhancements. I do want to remind you that our 4-H banquet is next Thursday night, and I think County Manager got an invitation today that he'll be sharing with all of you, and hope to see you next Thursday night.
Any questions from the board?
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all for your support. Appreciate it.
Okay. Moving right along, next we'll have building.
Good evening. The only substantial change that was to my budget this year was the fact that we had moved, in the past, we had had some of Alicia's pay under zoning and some under building. Well, we've moved 100% of her pay over to building. But other than that, none of my expenses have changed. This was the year I was going to get a new truck, but I think I'm going to wait one more year because mine's still in pretty good shape, and I haven't heard Jason asking for my old one, so we must be all right on that end. But other than that, we don't have any changes. We kept everything the same.
All right, any questions from the board?
Thanks, Ron. Just
Thank you.
Rod, we appreciate the job you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next, zoning.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. The only thing that has changed for the zoning is Alicia's position. That's it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay. Any questions for zoning?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is solid waste and mosquito. Maybe.
The only changes I have on the solid waste side is the uniform cost has went up, and that's because of fuel for the uniform delivery people, and that was the increased cost there. And for the first time, I have a full house of employees, full and part-time, so we're in good shape with that. That's the only increases. And then on the mosquito control, it has no change on it, other than requesting for a new sprayer that is replacing an old sprayer. And that's it.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And next is the library.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. How are y'all tonight?
Good.
Okay, I do have 3 budgets. So the first one is 56, if you guys have that one in front of you.
Yes.
That is my Santa Fe grant. Nothing has changed on that. Everything's the same pretty much as last year. Next, we'll go to 57. There is a change on that, and the reason is because I do have a new item request on there. If you look, it's for my ACs, the 200,000. But I will say that I am asking to take that money out of my contingency fund. So you'll see some changes as far as that's concerned. And then if you have any questions about that before I move to the next one.
Any question in particular?
Well, we knew that the air
Okay.
conditioning units was coming up, so we were aware of that. So,
Yes, ma'am. Okay, and then 58, pretty much everything is the same, on that one. I just moved around some of my GL lines, is basically it, but still asking for the same amount. There is a little bit of, should have mentioned back on, 57, there's a little bit of an increase with, just salaries and benefits, so I meant to say that on 57.
Kim, go back to 57. So
Yes,
back to the 200,000, and
Yes.
Andrews alluded to the air conditioning units.
Mhm.
I know there were some structural.
You mean as far as
issues that
like-
need to be taken care of that were
Mm-hmm.
part of.
The ceiling in my women's bathroom has leaked so much that it's caused major damage. So that's gonna have to be repaired after this ACs though, because naturally they're gonna have to do things with the handlers, because that's what's making it leak.
Mhm.
So I have included that cost in that, and the 200 is those repairs and the ACs.
And that is the panels and all.
Yes, sir.
And just to be clear as well, the $200,000, I think you might have said it was coming out of contingency.
Yes, sir.
It's not.
not?
It's in the, no ma'am, it'll be in the it's already in the CIP.
Oh, is it? Okay, we discussed that. I
Yep.
apologize.
No worries.
That's even better.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's
All right.
currently, that's just an estimate right now too, right?
Yeah, based off of, the quotes that I have for the ACs, and then, quotes that I have for the repairs.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you guys for your support.
All right, next is fire rescue.
You go to tab B. There. A, there you go, okay. So this is for Department 63, this is the core funding, this is what is allocated from the state for the opioid abatement settlement funds. The only change here is that we're getting less from the state, so the budget has gone down significantly. As you all remember, we hired a second position, a community paramedic position. That person has since gone back to a fire engine, and so we're going to be staffing this position with part-time personnel or off-duty EMTs that will be able to staff and help David on the days that are required when he has a lot of home visits scheduled, but no other changes there.
Any questions on this one? Okay.
This is for the medical office. This is our medical direction, Dr. Odom, and no changes there.
Chief, there's a lot going on here.
Sure.
You got a lot of different departments here, so I'm trying to get back to.
I do, yes.
If you'll go back to 63,
Okay.
on the core funding through the opioid abatement. Now, there was two different programs, right?
Yes, sir.
There was the core program, and then there was the LSF.
Non-qualified counties.
Right.
Both of these are through LSF, but
Okay.
one's the
Okay.
core, one's non-qualified.
Okay. And so this was the one we just recently approved on the core side that, I think Lieutenant Weeks.
This was,
He's on the other side.
he's on the non-qualified side.
Right, okay.
Paramedicine side. This was David Jackson that we promoted into this position, or moved over into this position, not promoted, but,
Okay.
and again, the funding from the state, this is where we got $700,000 this year. We'll have, it goes in half, so it'll be $350,000 for the next fiscal year, and then it'll be $175,000 for the following 18 years.
Okay. Not the 18-year program. This is.
They're both 18 years, but.
This one is too.
Yes, sir, they're both. We became eligible for this because we started medication-assisted therapy, MAT services in the county. Yeah.
Okay.
And just for clarification, Chief, the one that comes directly from LSF and the other one just come directly to the county?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for the core funding?
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Okay, next one.
Back to medical office, department number 26. This is for our medical direction for Dr. Odom. Any changes you see here in employee benefits are all due to the changes in the health insurance costs.
Chief Carter, what number is that? Is that
It's 26.
Number 26.
Okay.
Any other questions on department number 26 from the board? No.
Department 54. And this is our main fire rescue budget, which, as you'll see, does include the paramedicine, fire marshal, and core funding as well in our total overall budget. The main change here is, again, the employee benefits due to the increased budget in health benefits. Salaries changed $7,000. Our operational costs changed around $44,000. If you'll go to ops costs, Amanda, please, I can explain what those are. For other consultant costs, that's what we contract with Alachua County to do our medical billing. And so there's automatic 2% increase for the contract. And so we'll made an adjustment there as well. Service maintenance agreements. This is for our stretchers, cardiac monitors, stair chairs, any kind of medical equipment that we have any sort of maintenance service agreements with. Communications are all of our devices as far as telephones, the routers for transmitting EKGs to the hospital. So each one of our cardiac monitors has a router transmitter on the back of it that allows it to send, just like cell service, to the hospitals from the cardiac monitors themselves. Our utility service, we're adding the station in Brooker. We budgeted that at $500 a month. And so that would equal $6,000 there. We have operating supplies, increasing costs for operating supplies, $10,000 additional there. or I'm sorry, that was for EMT medical supplies costs. Our operating supplies are again, things that we use for paper towels, toilet paper, anything like that is what comes out of our operating supplies, GL. Increase in physical costs, you'll see our annual physical, firefighter physicals have to be the NFPA physicals. We do 50% of the department every single year. So we're going up on costs in that as well. And then our personnel training, we're adding some additional training dollars in there for our increased personnel that we're adding to the town of Brooker. And if you go back to summary page, that's essentially the changes within our budget for the fire and rescue department overall.
Any questions on 54? Chief Carter, so on line item 31,400, that's the 2% increase from Fort Alachua County billing process?
Yes, ma'am. And this does factor in a 2% increase for all of our employees. It's contractually obligated through the CPA.
Chief Carter, what are we writing off each year, roughly?
So we collect, with Alachua, you mean?
Yeah.
So we collect around 80% of what we bill, which is a pretty high collection
Yeah, I
rate.
mean, it is. Roughly what a year was.
I'd have to look at the number. I don't have that readily available right here in front of me, but I'd have to look at that number of exactly what we write off. Now, when you see on your agenda packet, sometimes you'll see write-off
Right.
on there. That doesn't mean that we're just writing that off the books. All that means is that we're sending that to collections for further collection activity. So that doesn't mean we're writing it off and not trying to collect on it anymore.
Understand that.
Yes, sir. But I can get you a number on that. I don't have it right here with
You
me.
will, I mean,
Absolutely.
every time get
Yes, sir.
a number on that. Just the average of 4 years.
Sure.
And Chief, I think it was around $250,000 uncollected debt that went to the collections department, if that helps any. So,
Yeah, do it over a 5-year period, if you
Okay.
get, when
Yes,
you
sir.
get time.
Absolutely. I'll get back with you on that.
Thank you.
any further question on 54?
Department 55 is the community paramedic. This is the non-qualified, this is David Weeks' program here. There is a slight decrease in that one as well from last year from the amount that's going to be allocated from the state. So we do have a slight decrease in that. Again, you'll see the increase in salary and benefits there as well. But outside of that, we've decreased the spending for what's been allocated for that program.
Any questions from the board on 55? Okay.
All right, I believe this is last but not least, department number 62 is the fire marshal's budget. And we have no change to the fire marshal's budget outside of the contractually obligated salary increase as well as the increase in benefits.
Any questions on 62?
That should be it for me, right?
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have Public Works, Mr. Carnegie will present that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, excuse me, Department 9 is what you're looking at. Amanda, where are we starting? Okay. On the summary page, you'll see that the current request is $893,425, which is up from last year. We'll dig into the supporting documents to show what caused that increase. Mainly employee benefits and salaries, and also operational costs have gone up considerably. Most of the increases that you'll see will be related to fuel costs, and not only fuel costs, but also any petroleum-related items such as tires, asphalt, and all that sort of thing. So that is the bulk of the increase that you'll see throughout the Public Works budget. Yes, and also bear in mind that this increase includes all departments countywide. Sheriff's Office, Property Appraiser, Public Works, Fire Rescue, all of that is contained in this single budget. Okay. Then on page, the last page of the packet there is, Jason is requesting a tire machine and also a balancer and also a fleet service truck for a total request of $30,000. Any questions?
So he does need Rod's truck then.
Well,
Now that Rod's not here.
Rod's not here, Rod left. And, but no, I don't, if he could transform that thing into a service vehicle, I'm sure he would. All right. Next will be Department 19. This is the maintenance budget. And it has stayed pretty close to the same, $70,000 increase. And once again, the $25,000 of that increase is R&M equipment, building fund. And then everything else has pretty much stayed the same.
I guess I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, and once again, one thing to bear in mind is that the increases from the major building repairs and the new equipment costs is also countywide. Okay. All right, moving to Department 29. This is the road department, 3.7 million last year, 4.1 million this year. Once again, if you look at the operational cost on page 2, all of the increases are related to petroleum, the price of petroleum and petroleum-related products. Yeah, and once again, same goes. This is for all departments, all constitutionals and everything. And then on the next page, we have one capital item, a dump truck at $225,000. And that will be reflected on the CIP. Any questions, Madam Chair?
Any question from the board on Public Works?
All right, next up is the discussion for the cost of living adjustment. We did our research and we have consulted the CPIU, the Consumer Price Index Uniform Scale, for cost of living, and for the 12 months from April 2025 ending in April 2026, it was a 3.8% cost of living adjustment. And then the Social Security income cost of living adjustment for the calendar year 2025 was 2.8%. So directly below on that sheet, you see that you have three amounts in front of you that shows a 3% COLA, a 4% COLA, and a 5% COLA. So at this time, it would be appropriate to discuss whether or not you want to give a COLA or increase or decrease those amounts, whatever the board would see fit. And we did calculate the total impact. This is not just salaries. This is the total impact, including health benefits and everything that would be associated with a raise.
So we know at this point what the health benefit cost is going to be? I thought we didn't
So,
know.
9.5% increase from last year.
No. Well, I'd like to hear you all's thoughts, but I know it's a lean budget year for us, or I guess a questionable one of how our budget is going to look. We won't really know that until after July. But, so that's the question in my mind as to whether we, can afford to do the increase. I don't know how the other members feel.
Yeah, they're still kicking it around in Tallahassee right now. They haven't made up their mind what they're doing, so, we don't even know what's gonna happen here yet.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to make that
Puts us in a
decision.
tough position.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because that's gonna crush it if they
Yeah.
pass it.
So because it's an unknown, I think that's a decision that we'll have to make a little bit later than now. But it's certainly we need to discuss it.
sure. So I would ask the clerk what would be the latest, if they come back and decide to give a COLA, what would be the latest that you would need that information?
By tentative budget in August, but, because it has to be advertised
Yeah.
the month before fiscal year begins. I believe that's correct, 30 days.
30 days prior. to-
Right.
Which
So-
would be,
The end of August.
End of
End of
July.
August.
So by the end of July, then we would better know. And by that time, we should,
hopefully
I
we'll
guess, we
know.
would know.
This is one of the earliest years like we've ever come in here and really got to talking about this stuff this early, and I'm glad everybody decided this year to, and get in the weeds of this early.
Yeah, and ideally, you want to provide an increase, to our staff. People who worked hard, they deserve that. But when you have an uncertain budget, you don't want to make that commitment early and not be able to do that. And especially when we're trying to look critically at our budget and trim some things down.
And Madam Chair, just for whatever will help the commission, just remember that at least any of the proposals the ones that have passed through the Florida House, were not taken up by the Senate. The governor's already indicated that he intends to call a special session following the budget, which is supposed to end next week. But in any one of the proposals, all of the 27 physically constrained counties were going to be reimbursed for any ad valorem tax loss by the state. So that should buffer any sort of concern that you would have in kind of how you move forward preparing your budget.
But, Mr. Commando, that hasn't really been decided yet, though, right? They have till Tuesday, is that correct?
So they're going to pass the budget next week. But separate from passing the budget, the governor's already indicated that he's going to call them back for another special session in order to address tax reform.
Commissioner Swanson.
He answered my question.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts from others?
So I would just add that you do have time, right? You've got until the end of July, as indicated by the court. So maybe we can see how things go in Tallahassee over the next few weeks and have a tentative plan of putting this back on the agenda at the second meeting in July. Does that sound reasonable?
That's
We don't
reasonable.
have to do that.
Commissioner Andrews, you have?
I agree. No, I was just looking to see if our meeting would be July 16th.
And that'll give the clerk and y'all time to, by then.
that gives time to give departments what numbers they need to
Right, that's
have finals for COLA and insurance and those type of things. Fuel, hopefully fuel will be back down.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is the capital improvement plan. There's already been quite a bit of discussion on this. I'm not sure what changes have been made. Let me see. Yes, the new roads that you approved at the last meeting for resurfaces are now in the capital improvement plan. And the three chip seal roads are being moved to the 26-27 budget. Yep, and then the Cypress Run boat ramp, we got the new estimate for construction, nearly 1.3 million. Yes, and we were able to get, just in the last day or two, get an updated estimate on the replacement of the roof here on the courthouse, which is $450,000. Those are the only changes in the CIP from the last time you saw it.
Okay. And I know we haven't had a chance to meet with the Dodds, but one of the other couple of streets that I asked to be considered is, I know that once 177 is being resurfaced, but as they're doing 177, the three side roads that are less than a quarter of a mile, while they're doing and tearing up the road, to have those done during the same time that they do 177. They're the little short roads that run, I guess, perpendicular to the.
What's the chip seal roads?
They're not long streets. There's short roads that are now have the milling, but once they do 177, that those be include just the chip sealing.
Yeah, we did include them.
They're not on here.
Madam Chair, are you suggesting this in addition to what we just approved?
Yeah, but we're not gonna, we can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're working on 177th, that was one of the projects, but adding three different projects, I don't think that's appropriate right now.
Well, those were three that were to be a part of that project. And
Part of the project, then it should have already been approved.
Yeah.
well, but what I'm saying, Commissioner Dory, they're not on here, and they're not on that list, just like we thought that 177 was, but it's not. It wasn't until we put it back. So those were to be done at the same time, that's all I'm saying. And they're not mile-long roads. They're short roads, so when they're tearing it up, just do it all at one
But
time.
they wasn't never voted, agreed on. So them three roads has got to wait till we get all of these right here.
That's 177.
Yeah, I understand.
But that was the discussion that we were to have with Mr. Dons.
Well, in all fairness, I think we should wait and have a discussion with Mr. Dodds.
Yeah, because I know he hasn't gotten any cost estimates or done any work on any of those, because we
We
know
put
that.
together this package right here, the roads that was gotta be done. Those three ain't on there.
And the other one was where they're doing 173rd, the dump road, I call it the dump road, was 19th Avenue. Is the other little side road that runs along there.
19th is a paved road, right?
It's not 19th Avenue, it's not paved. It's the one that washes out every storm.
Yep.
It's on the left as you go down
I know where she's
173rd.
Oh, not the one that cuts back to 16th.
It's just the side road on 173rd as you're traveling east on it.
I say we get what he's got wrote down, and then we'll get the rest of them.
Maybe when Mr. Dons is back next, we can have a further discussion with him, but those those ones I would like to see added to our capital improvement.
Okay, so is it my understanding that you want us to amend the CIP and bring it back before you at a later date?
What, this, all of this here?
My suggestion would be to wait on Mr. Dodds, and then we
Yeah.
can amend it after we have a discussion with Mr. Dodds, if it needs to be amended.
I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Madam Chair, I apologize. So I think what will be the best procedure going forward, because we have not adopted this CIP, so it can't, it doesn't have to be amended, it's not final yet. If you would like to have further discussions with Mr. Dodds regarding the additional roads at the next regular board meeting on this June 2nd, I think we could, if you guys approve to put them on, we will add them to the CIP at that time and bring it back at the second June meeting for final approval.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Can I say something? I mean, why wait? Because every commissioner that's setting up here, it's got roads they'd love to be put on. You know what I mean? So.
Well, it sounds like there's just a
That's not
misunderstanding that the 177th, what Ms. Spooner's saying is that those were to be included in the 177th project
Yes.
as far as the completion. But again, without Mr. Dodds being here and clarifying that, again, I think this just warrants a discussion with Mr. Dodds before we move forward with anything.
Yes, sir. So 177th Road is a resurfacing. We can't include it with 3 separate roads because those are chip sealed. They're completely separate approvals. We'll have to get those approved for you specifically. We'll get the estimates and bring that back at a future meeting. And if you guys do approve them at that time, we'll add it to the CIP, which will come back later.
Right, it would be a separate project. It would not be something that could be rolled into the 177th.
So if it's not part of 177th, then I agree with Commissioner Thompson, then I think that the board agrees that if it's not part of it, then we just move forward. We don't add any more to the list that we already had.
I mean, we done went through this one time, so, and we all agreed on it, but, so, those 3 roads wasn't on there.
We'll have a discussion with Mr. Dodds
All
next
right,
week.
that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
I want to go back to something else, back to the cost of living adjustment, and I hate to go out of line here. We sat and we listened to all the departments, and some of the departments had raises that were in their budgets. Are those raises merit-based raises, or where are we coming up with those numbers? The salary increases.
Yeah, no, the only salary increases in any of the budgets are fire rescue. And that's because
that was through
that's covered by the CBA.
Right.
But there are no salary increases anywhere else in the county.
Okay, because I know with the COLA increase, even at 3%, and again, however each department, factors in any kind of merit-based raise, and, I don't know how that works in each department, throughout the year. So I'm just curious about that. I know at the landfill, we just had a discussion about that, and there was a 3% COLA increase, and then there was also a 2%, but not everybody was eligible for the 2%. It was because it was merit-based. So at least everybody got 3%, and then some may end up with 5%, again, based on a merit-based raise. So I guess my question is then, with the 3% COLA increase, or 4% or 5%, is there still the ability from each department to give merit-based raises?
No, the short answer is no, sir.
Okay. Okay. We can move on. Thank you.
Okay, all right, next on the agenda is the community organizations. You recall last meeting, the various organizations came forward and made their requests. So now is the time to go through the list and determine what agencies you want to fund and at what level.
most of the agencies' requests are the same as last year. Just a few that had slight increase in their budget requests. With the exception being the new one for the Skillman's post is one that is brand new to us. I would, with the exception of that one, I would support the request that they've made. It's not a significant increase that is being asked from the agencies that asked for it, but I think that we have to think on the new one.
Board, I would suggest that we just keep the requests at what they were last year without any increases.
That would be, that would be my consensus as well. And Skillman's Post, I'd just like to say that the program that the young man brought, it sounds wonderful, but I think that we need to wait until it's established and up and running, and then hopefully he'll come back and let us reevaluate. But I agree. I think that we approve it at the same amount as we did last year.
And maybe there are some other agencies that for the skillsman's post. Pam Whittle has spoken the last meeting. There's some funding through the what is it called, Uplift Florida program that you could possibly apply to for funding. I know you're needing some startup funding, but that would be a suggestion. And then after you've been able to build up some history in the community, then you can also bring back to the board for your request, and also to go ahead and apply for your 501(c) status, and that would help with other funding.
And Madam Chair, if I may, point out to you the original Florida Tourism Task Force item. It's staff's recommendation that we no longer fund that agency. We were under no state requirement to fund, and we just don't see we've not seen the benefit of funding that over the past few years.
And yeah.
That agency allows us to do free advertising also for some of our agencies if they're under 1.5 million, like that could help our agriculture department, that could help the different nonprofits in the community as well.
So how many of these are asking for more this year?
It's just a few. The only one, Acorns Clinic, and they provide an array of services to the community. Meridian is just $1,000, about $1,000 more. Concerned Citizens was about, where are they? A few thousand, 2,500 more, and tourism was 1,000 more, and that was it.
I mean, I'm gonna make a suggestion, we keep them as they was last year. Every dollar counts. So that's my opinion.
That was what everybody was, the others had suggested.
Go ahead. Amber Shepherd, she's not using the task force?
No, sir.
Okay, then, yeah. then-
And I talked with a board member today at lunch, and she indicated that she's actually, when I say board member, one of their board members, and she doesn't see the benefit of the county paying that money either.
Okay. Are you ready for a motion?
Not yet.
Not
They don't need
not
a
yet.
motion.
We don't have, this one, we don't need a motion, but we want to get our consensus on it.
Just, all I need is direction. So I'm understanding, I'm sorry. Oh, in the midst So it will be on the agenda coming up at 6:30, well, at the regular meeting following this meeting. So we'll save the motion for that. But as I understand it for the record, you would like to continue to fund at last year's level all the organizations that have requested except for the original Florida Tourism Task Force, which you choose to eliminate.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to let Amanda handle the service agreements contracts, since she's been working so hard on this for the last year.
Madam Chair, Board, in front of you, on this sheet right here, I have listed the service agreements and their annual costs. These are only the agreements that the board has that have a cost specific to the agreement and not things like engineering firms that may be specific project costs down the line. So this was a request of a board member to present this to you. We do have a group that has been working for about 6-8 months now that has gone through all these contracts and agreements, and several of these have been updated, services have been bid out, and there's plans for others to be bid out. We've been working with the clerk's office as well to establish a calendar for when these agreements are coming up, and then will need to be bid out for services in the future, so that we can keep a good control on how much we are spending on these agreements. We have been able to reduce our annual costs about $200,000 through the agreements that we have worked on this past several months. So this is for your review. If you have any questions about the specific items, I have all of the agreements. We can discuss them with you later.
I would just like to say how much I appreciate your going through this so that we could see, what we're spending, and are there things that we can do without or reduce, and I really appreciate getting the information.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions from the board, from this list? Okay.
All right, thank you very much. That would conclude the budget meeting, and Madam Chair, I would request a 10-minute break between meetings.
The budget meeting is now adjourned, and we will reconvene in about 5 more minutes. Calling our Board of County Commissioner meeting to order, May 21st, 2026. County Commissioner meeting, thank you. If you all would stand again with me, have our invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Madam Chair, if I
Yep.
may, just please,
I'm gonna
keep the.
include it in.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Lord, we lift you up today, and we thank you for your grace, mercy, and love. We pray, Father, for our commissioner, this board, the men and women entrusted with the responsibility of guiding our community. Grant us a portion of your wisdom and the courage to make decisions that honor you and provide fair and just services to our community. Please help us to always show compassion and to serve every resident with fairness and humility. May we lead not by personal gain, but for the good of all, seeking unity over division and service over self-interest. We pray for every corner of our community, for our families, for the school, for our businesses, for ordinary citizens, our first responders and farmers, law enforcement. We pray for everyone, dear Lord. And help us to keep Bradford County a safe place. Protect our children, Lord, as school is about to close for the summer. Strengthen our homes and inspire us to look out for one another as neighbors and friends. Lord, in these times of challenge, remind us that we are stronger together. In times of blessing, keep us humble and thankful. Lord, we ask a special blessing and comfort upon the family who have lost loved ones. We pray for our road department head, Jason Dodds, for the loss of his dear mother on Mother's Day, and for the Melvin and the Moxley family, for the loss of school board member Lynn Moxley Melvin. Heavenly Father, as we approach Memorial Day, we ask a special blessing upon the families of those who have made that ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Lord, may your peace rest upon our country. May your light guide our path forward. And we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, before we take on any of the public comments, we're asking the board to walk on one agenda item, and Mr. Carnegie will explain to you, but there's one item from our TDC that we need to add to the agenda.
Yes, we just, when it comes time on the agenda, we just need to approve the invoice for 31,646.31. Immediately following the consent agenda, Madam Chair.
The board, you consider that, and you're okay with adding that on?
So these funds couldn't be paid through TDC legally?
No.
That's correct. So they'll come out of the Public Works and then we'll transfer the money from the TDC over to the fairgrounds.
All right. Our attorney, we need a motion for adding this to the agenda. We'll ask for a motion for the added item to the agenda.
Move to approve the item.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Doherty, second by Commissioner Reddy. Any other further question?
I just want to clarify, when I said move to approve, I meant move to approve it to discuss it later. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll figure out if we'll approve it later.
Okay. So that's clarified. We have a motion and a second. Any further question or discussion? That we'll add this item to the agenda. All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Now, we're going to move to our public comments. We have Ms. Maria Gear.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Maria Gear. I live at 17245 Bradford Avenue, Brooklyn, Florida. And I am in District 13. I didn't write anything today because I just want to personally thank you for doing a good job. Not the last meeting, but the meeting last month. I'd like to thank Ms. Andrews for recognizing that the Douglas building is very bad location and that ICE is not doing all they can to be humane, and I'm glad that you have opened up your heart to look at other options. I'd like to thank Mr. Thompson for not rushing into a possibly very bad choice. I thank you for that. I thank you, Carolyn Spooner, for being a strong, caring, calm chair. And I can see why you are the chair. Excuse me. I'd like to thank Mr. Riddick, for reminding people that they gave their word to do the options, to look at all the options. And I'd like to thank Chris Doherty for kind of showing your true colors. You were a bit of a bully to Carolyn Spooner.
You want to sit down now?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Doherty,
Go ahead.
just,
Yeah.
we're gonna direct the comments to the board in general, but not individual. So, but go ahead and make your comments, but just make it to the board.
Well, I just want, for somebody looking at you all, we decide who to vote, who not to vote by your actions and what you bring to the table. Because we're voting for you to do what's the best for our community. And we will be, even though there's only a few people in this room, we will be keeping an eye on, what is being done to our community. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kate Emerson?
Kate Ellison, 971 Southeast 32nd Way, Melrose, Florida, Bradford County. As you consider the budget during these difficult times, looking at all sources of revenue is so important, even though these sources are limited. The cost of everything has gone up so dramatically, it's hard to even wrap our minds around what constitutes smart spending. It's especially important in these times to plan ahead and plan wisely. Rural counties like ours rely on property taxes for most of their income. It's never a good time to threaten income sources, but during inflationary times, it's especially threatening to think of losing any property tax income. I'm glad to contribute my homestead taxes to the collective coffers. It means I have a stake in what happens here. I know all the community organizations and the department heads are trying to control their costs just as you are. Yet they must find ways to pay their bills, even though costs of petroleum especially are higher than ever. Their budgets count on adequate support for the work they do, which is essential to the life of the county. Renting out county properties is one small way to expand the revenue side of our equation. Long-term income from these resources is something we should be able to count on. For the Douglas building, a long-term lease that includes the ability to clean up the brownfield around it is a great place to start. If you are hesitant for some reason to accept the commercial industrial expansion already offered by a local company, maybe there is another choice. The most equitable method would be to call for proposals. Maybe there's an even better option out there somewhere. Our county is growing, and that means more companies and individuals will be looking at us. It is your job to provide guidance that shapes our future the way we would like it, not something haphazard or unplanned. The north and south gateways to Stark should be developed in a way that draws people in. I'm glad you're taking the time you need to think through the steps that we will take next. Thank you.
Thank you. Next by Under Strong.
Good evening. Each month we come in and we talk about saving the county money. And we look over the budget. And it's amazing how we talk about savings. And we go through the motions and we think about, we're gonna save here, we're gonna save there. But we never really save any type of funds. We looked at saving dollars in the scheme of things, but are we really gonna save any money? Is there really gonna be a savings? We have the means, but where was the sheriff's office? Where was our sheriff in any of these presentations that we've had? We didn't see the sheriff. We don't know whether or not his budget is gonna come in. So we don't know if we're really gonna save any money. That department didn't provide us any numbers. Also, we looked at what's going on at the library. They've had the damage, but we really didn't talk about what's really happening in the ceiling. If the damage has been going on, there's probably black mold that's there. Black mold is far more costly in the long run. We have the employee cost that has been there for the long run, and we have the people costs that go to the library every day. That's a cost that nobody knows. You have somebody that sits there every day that could possibly be breathing mold spores. We should have had this fixed a long time ago. A long time ago. If we had the money. And we did have the money. So are we really saving dollars? Are we really? Probably not.
Thank you. Next we'll have Bo Hastings.
Good evening, County Commissioners. I wasn't gonna speak, but I came up and asked Mr. Riddick and Mr. Daughtry a question about this ICE facility, because people may not be aware, if you look at the last minute meetings that were putting out, the minutes, they spoke, Mr. Shaw, about subletting that building, not OMI being in that building doing their product, but subleasing that building. Of course, I didn't hear that in the meeting when Mr. Shaw was here, so I figure it's just something they'll sneak in on us later on, kind of like they did with subletting or leasing it to the sheriff for $1,000 a year. As far as these budgets, yeah, they're not gonna cut no money off of us. They're just gonna keep spending and increasing. And I can tell you this, my income does not go up like that. It's not merit-based. It's not 3% every year. It's maybe $20 a month. But then your increases go way up and we're told to skip a meal. And that kinda ain't right. You know, it's just like funding Meridian. Why do the taxpayers have to fund that? Is the city giving any money to Meridian? Isn't it in the city limits? Isn't that Milner guy on the board of directors there too, like the city council? Is the city giving any money to Meridian? I mean, I think the program that Skillman's Post put out would help our community and help the children better than Meridian here in town, because when you go in there, there's nobody there. I mean, y'all just really need to think about this instead of just spending money, spending money, spending money. We need a decrease. You need to have these budgets. Tell every department to cut 5%. Make it easier on the taxpayer. It's not easy on us. We are struggling. Our costs go up, but your costs go down because you don't have to pay for nothing. We pay for your gas, we pay for your travel, we pay for your oil changes, we pay 100% of your insurance, which is now going up, what, 5% you said? Plus the $3,000 copays that we give the employees, which I think there's about 120 Bradford County employees, according to what you spent on fare tickets. There's only 250 that we're paying that $3.7 million in insurance costs and $72,000 in copays. So I guess what, there's like 100 and something people that aren't getting insurance that we're paying for. I guess those are the low totem people that you just really don't care about. They're kind of like me. But I'm telling you, the taxpayers are fed up with your spending, and we're coming for you. And after this election, the other 3 districts, get ready, because we're going to recall you if you keep spending like this. We're tired of it, and we're fed up.
Thank you. And next we move on to our, did I miss anybody's comment? Thank you. We'll move to the approval for the consent agenda. I'll ask for a motion for approval.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Doherty to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second to the
Second.
motion? Second by Commissioner Thompson. Any further question or discussion?
Madam Chair, if I could just, I want to point out that in the consent agenda that we do have the burn ban that's still in effect. So just so everybody knows that the burn ban is still in effect.
Yeah. Okay. Any further question or discussion? If not, all by the sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. And, Mr. Carnegie, you wanted this item added after the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. We just need approval to pay the invoice to Harold Starling in the amount of $31,046.31 for the replacement of all the doors at the Charlie John Center.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoice as discussed by Mr. Cornegay.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Doherty and second by Commissioner Thompson. Any further discussion on the issue? Questions? All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And next is a proclamation declaring May 17th through the 23rd for Emergency Medical Services Week, or ESM Week. Okay. The proclamation reads to delegate the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the Emergency Medical Services team are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate for those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services fills healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of the Emergency Medical Services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week Now, therefore, the Bradford County Board of County Commissioners, in recognition of this event, do hereby declare the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week. The 52nd anniversary of ESM Week theme is ESM Week's Improving Outcomes Together. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities in honor of the EMS profession and the essential services it provides. Hearing the proclamation, is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve the proclamation is read.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Doherty, second by Commissioner Andrews. Is there any further question or discussion on the proclamation? If not, all in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Thank you. Okay. And next we'll have the presentation coming on the CPTA grant strategic planning presentation.
Madam Chair, actually item 5.
Oh, I tried to skip you. My apologies. It wasn't intentional, just these eyes. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, thank you for that proclamation, Board. We appreciate the support, for sure. What you see before you is to replace I think I hit the button up here, Amanda, I'm sorry. Is to replace the Hilburn Springs volunteer fire apparatus. It was a 2013. We've had multiple expensive repairs on that apparatus. I don't enjoy bringing items of this cost before you. However, I feel it is my responsibility as your fire chief to let you know the condition that our fleet's in. We've been very fortunate with our appropriations that we've received 2 brand new fire trucks over the past year to replace much of our outdated fleet. Outside, you'll actually see the new Town of Brooker fire engine is parked out there for display for after the meeting here. And so with this replacement here is an identical truck to the Brooker apparatus. And the big item here is that it's here, it's ready for delivery. Whereas if I were to order one today, if we had the funding, to order one and put it in the next budget and order it today, it's 16 months of build time. Put this into perspective, Friday afternoon, last Friday, we had a seizure call that we were dispatched to. That engine was the closest unit. They went en route to it and they broke down on the side of the road. We've spent over $75,000 worth of repairs to this apparatus over the past year or two. And so, to me, I think we have a unique opportunity. I have this amount in my budget if we use contingency funds. We do have the funding there. However, we also have the ability possibly to offset the cost even more due to the fact that we have the core funding from the state that they may allow us to offset some of the costs there. We don't have an answer as to yet. It's been forwarded. That's been approved by LSF. It just has to go to DCF for final approval from DCF. And then Matheny also may be willing to take this, the Hilburn Springs truck in on trade as well. So again, those would be things to offset the cost. However, if there's no offset at all, it is within my budget if you allow me to use the contingency fund as well.
So Chief, it is my desire for our fire rescue to have whatever they need to do their job and they do it well. My question is, because it's a sizable amount, over $500,000, is there any way possible to utilize the new truck that we have and until you get yours, so that you can still provide the service, and then the additional fund that will be later can purchase it, so that the expenditure doesn't have to occur now?
Well, I think one of the things is we're in a unique opportunity where the funding is there within the budget to be able to do that, to make that expenditure. However, the Brooker truck that's outside is actually owned by the Town of Brooker for now. Now that will be signed over to the county eventually, but I would imagine they would like to see us moving into that fire station before we actually take ownership of that apparatus. But again, I'm not speaking on behalf of Brooker. I would just, I could understand that certainly.
Yeah, but that was I guess my concern, because when we're looking at the lean budget, and I know you mentioned about the core funding coming, not yet approved, and we're trying to be as conservative as we can, I was just, and I feel like the town of Brooker would understand that use because it will be replaced with a new vehicle too.
Sure.
And it'll be a while before the building is actually there.
Well, and even if, like I said, if we pass up this opportunity, it would be 16 months before we were able to purchase a new one, or even, if we ordered it today, 16 months down the road to order a new one. And so that's where, I think this is an opportunity we have. The fire truck is here, which is unheard of to be able to buy a fire truck off the lot right now. Most build times are it's almost 2 years. But again, that's where we stand with our fleet.
And that would wipe out your contingency budget.
It would.
Uh-huh.
We do have a significant amount of unbudgeted revenue that has come in, and so there would be that to act as an additional buffer where I would not be at risk of going over budget, if that would make sense.
Those are the concerns that I had. I don't know if anyone else has any concern, but.
Well, one concern that I do have as far as Brooker is concerned is if we take that and depend on that truck, then when Brooker does get complete, then we're gonna have to order another truck, which will be 16 months out, which will leave Brooker without a vehicle. Also, like you said that they may buy the truck that you have, right?
Yes, ma'am. They're holding it as a favor currently, and so I'm sure they could have it sold by the end of next week, probably, if we did turn it down.
Yeah. And the one thing that comes to my mind is just never having a situation where we can't respond. Thank God that was a seizure and not a heart attack or something. But if it's in contingency and if the grant or the funding is coming, then I feel like we should go ahead and do that.
Well, let me be clear. There's no guarantee that funding is coming.
Okay.
And so I want to be clear on that. And however, that funding will go back to the state if we don't utilize it before June 30th. So that's an additional opportunity that we have, that if they do approve that funding, it won't be there or may not be there for next year. When it goes back to the state, they have the opportunity to redistribute that out to anyone who applies for that funding.
And how much is that funding? I know you told me, I forgot.
The core funding is $158,000. Yes, sir.
And then there was one other thing you was.
And then the other piece of that would be the trade-in amount. And they haven't given me an exact trade-in amount because the gentleman who was supposed to come do the trade-in evaluation got sick, so he wasn't able to come out and give us that amount. But I would estimate around $100,000 we could get for trade-in as well.
And that truck's 23 years old, correct?
13 years old.
Huh?
13 years old. It's 2013.
So you're hoping for about 260,000 less than off the 565.
Yes, sir. And again, I don't enjoy bringing these requests before you, but I feel like it's my duty to do that, to take care of the people in this community. If we're delaying responses to calls, you deserve to know about that.
Chief, wasn't there another small piece of revenue, the MCO?
The MCO funding is what we have used to, we put that into our new equipment over 5,000. So the MCO funding, which is the Medicaid reimbursement where we pay in and then they pay us a certain amount back. So a big portion of our new equipment over 5,000 budget is made up of that MCO revenue.
And we use that source to purchase another vehicle, right?
An ambulance, yes, ma'am.
And Melrose. Any other thoughts, questions, the board?
I have a thought, but you might not like this, but I think somewhere there was a board that decided that they were gonna pass on that fire truck, and now it's available, and I personally think it's something that we should pass on too. We have 2 new fire trucks. We have the city that responds as well. I know there was an incident, you mentioned a seizure, but I think we have our paramedicine team and we have other senior staff, that can respond as well. Again, I think that somewhere across the state, somebody decided that it wasn't a good decision for them, and I right now don't think it's a good decision for us based on just, again, a lot of unknowns. So, and a lot of unknowns on your end too. There was a lot of mays. You know, they may do this and they may do that, and, you know, we don't know, so that's my position on it.
Any other thoughts? So this one is calling for actually either the motion to do it or not.
I make the motion that we go forward with purchasing the fire truck.
I have a motion by Commissioner Andrews.
Second.
Second to the motion by Commissioner Reddy. Further questions and discussion. Just my position, as I stated, I think in the lean budget, that if we have a vehicle, use what we have until we can afford to do otherwise. All in favor, sign aye.
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 And then all opposed,
Nay.
nay. 3 nays and 2 for. Okay. Next is the, I skipped you. So is this your turn now to come and present our CPTA strategic planning presentation?
Okay, good evening, Commissioners. I'm Laura Dietrich. I'm a Senior Planner Project Manager with Half Associates. We are your on-call land planners, civil engineers, water resource, landscape architects, permitting, and all kinds of different available services at your disposal when you do need those. This presentation this evening is with regards to a grant that I wrote last year in May and June. It is a Community Planning Technical Advisory Grant. So that's what the CPTA stands for. These are state grants. There are usually 200-300 people in the state, different cities and counties that compete for these. Last year, they only picked 26. So it is very competitive. It's very difficult. The maximum amount is $75,000 based on the scope of the grant and what we're looking to do every year, because this is an annual grant. That's based on how you can also justify what you're asking for in the fee for that scope. So in this initiative that we put out last year, the deadline to submit was August 1st of 2025. We prepared that in the summer prior to that so we'd be ready because we knew the deadline was coming. So I met with Mr. Cornegay and Ms. Brown to go through what all the scope that could go in this CPTA grant would be on July 7th of 2025. And that led us to the following. And just to make sure you understand everybody that was involved in this effort, for the county, of course, your county manager, Scott Cornegay, Amanda Brown, Harley Hutchinson, and General James Eifert, and Amanda Shepard. And then, of course, our staff, myself, Joe Loretta, and Cody Smith. So in going through this grant, it was discussed amongst yourselves, and Chairwoman Spooner had actually worked in 2023 to put together an outline of a strategic plan for development for the county, to look at a strategic, intentional 3 to 5 year start on how you're going to focus on economic development, how you're going to take your assets and your facilities, and you're going to look at how you're going to turn those and program them to make a large return for the county. So with that, they looked at several different things, and the strategic plan was one of them. But then as staff and I went through what we could focus on in addition to that, we said, well, let's get every single penny of every dollar in this grant because we're going to go for all $75,000. So let's not just look at expanding on the strategic development plan, but let's look at 3 targeted initiatives. Those original initiatives were the fairgrounds, the Douglas building, and the bypass, the entire Stark bypass, which you have 4 intersections for. Well, after we'd already submitted the grant, then later through the fall, as you very well know, the federal government tried to intervene and ask for the use of the Douglas building for you to contemplate use for ICE. So that put us in a position where we had to pivot very quickly. We had to ask for permission from the state to supplement the Douglas building in the grant for something else. Well, while the Douglas building is very important, and I believe that that is going to be future subject matter that'll be completely justified for other grant dollars to program that, so that's not forgotten. That was just put on the wayside. But we did pivot to the airport, to the Keystone Heights Airport, and the economic development opportunities there that have been underwhelmingly under-programmed for decades. So it actually gave us a great opportunity at a really good time. So first to talk about what we did right before the strategic plan and the 3 targeted initiatives. I said to Scott, I said, look, we need to talk about what your assets are. Let's do an inventory of all the county-owned properties and buildings. Let's do an evaluation with the property appraiser. Look at what the access is, the condition, if it's vacant, if it's got a building on it, if it's had maintenance on that building, if it has not, what are the items that the building inspectors may have noticed. And then let's do a current kind of inventory catalog of all of your assets. So we did do that first. So we did that in addition to all the other work that I'm going to talk about. So first and foremost, the strategic plan that Chairwoman Spooner had brought before you in the last year and a half, 2 years, I believe, was an outline, and we included all of those, the mission statement and the values and the themes and the objectives and the goals that were put before that, but we populated that with all the community input that we have. So what is the plan? So that plan is helping you unify your vision for what you're going to do with regards to the development. So not to confuse this is not your comprehensive plan, which is about land use. It's not your zoning code about how you actually lay that development out on the property. This is a very intentional plan specifically for development and driving economic development. So this is going to help you lay out what those objectives are. I've added performance measures that hold you accountable by the citizens, the business owners, the stakeholders, the authorities, and the agencies that you work with. And that's going to help you focus in on what those decision-making tools are and how you're going to measure those going forward. So that led to the community workshop that we had on March 24th, in which 3 of you actually attended. We had numerous people from not just in Bradford County, but also from Clay County, from Alachua County, and from about 7 or 8 different cities, and business owners and stakeholders. And we actually had new people that had just contemplated moving here that heard about the meeting and read about it in the paper. So that was really neat for them to meet a lot of their future neighbors. So we took everything and the input and we correlated that meeting with North Florida Professional Services, Brandon Stubbs, who is your lead planner, that also is an on-call server to you. So he and I have known each other for a long time, and I said, look, why don't we consolidate our community workshop so we get a bigger turnout and we make sure that we kind of collect all the data that we're looking at, because there's several things they're looking at that are also lending themselves to what we're going to put into the intentional focus of your development plan. So we thought that was a good idea. It was efficient use of time. So we ended up having a full room of not only looking at your comp plan update that you're currently doing, but also this development plan. So people were able to not only look at the vision of long-range planning, but how to get into the nitty-gritty and the dirt about 3 specific areas: the airport, the bypass, the fairgrounds, but also other things that maybe we weren't contemplating that need to be focused on in the development plan. So you have a current mission statement, and then there's a proposed mission statement. You will be getting that final draft. It's going through all the graphic packaging right now. You'll get that tomorrow. I walked along during the break and told you about the timeline, but it occurred to me that I wanted to give you a little breathing room. There are 2 simultaneous tasks that are going on with the state and with yourselves in accepting and adopt. Well, you don't need to adopt this necessarily, but I think maybe a motion eventually will go through on that. But the state grant deadline is May 31st, which is next Sunday. So that would mean the 29th. So while the state grant deadline means that all of the deliverables in this grant would need to be sent to the state by the 29th, which we've already sent deliverable 1, which was all the input and survey data that came from the workshop. And then deliverable 2 was the asset catalog that we put through. And then this now strategic plan with the target initiatives, that's the final one due along with this presentation tonight. Well, that meets the requirement for the state grant, which it has greatly exceeded because we did far more than we were hoping to do in the scope and the amount of money we asked. So we stretched that greatly. So that will check that box. That will meet all the requirements. We've talked to the state and they are fully going to be satisfied with all of that. However, because this is a living tool for you, you will have that time to look through it longer, to make any changes or any additions or revisions, and we can go back as long as you want me to and make those changes, because it's a living tool for you. So I don't want you to think that just because these that meet those requirements by next week will go to the state to satisfy what they need, it's not going to end there. So you do have plenty of time to make whatever changes you want, because the state's looking at it from a grant deliverable perspective. For your needs, it's going to be constant change and evolution with this plan. So I just wanted to give you a little comfort there. So as you read the final draft, it's going to be in your possession tomorrow with all of the narrative and imagery. You're going to have your mission statement in there to contemplate if you still agree with how that's crafted. You have your vision statement from the current to the proposed. And that current is, I guess, what has been in the draft that you all started working at and looking on in 2023. So this proposed one is condensed and shifted a little bit from that, but still focuses on the same areas. Then you're going to get into your value statements, and that's focusing on, you know, the big picture items of how you're going to work together with the community, the stakeholders, business leaders, JAX USA, Northeast Florida Economic Development Corporation. The really large, which is kind of odd that I haven't heard them mentioned before in this county's arena, is the large economic development group that serves you is the North Florida Economic Development Group. And that's all the surrounding 7 counties that serve you. So I've integrated them into the strategic plan for you, and have made some of the other cohorts that are in Mr. Cornegay's role aware of that, so there's more collaboration, because I know that you've benefited from other developments that didn't work out in Baker County or Clay County, and they came here instead. So we definitely want to make sure that you're on the radar with that group in the future, because we wrote another grant, and I'll talk about that after I'm done with this, and we already submitted it. So, all right, that takes you to your goals. So the 5 goals are economic growth and development. That's the game changer. That's your future. That's what's happening to the region. It's no longer just about Jacksonville. It's about the entire region because of your amazing access on 301, just being south of I-10. The new corridor, the new main spine for the state of Florida is 301. DOT started planning that over 25 years ago through the Moores program. And that is what's opened up everything for the whole central and west to be coming up north. And that's why you see all these developments and rail, all the logistics. If you are less than an hour from the core of the I-95, I-10 corridor, the spaceport, JAXport, the airport, all of the rail and trucking logistics that are going on, air, land, and sea, that is all happening now. So, and the folks that are on what used to be kind of the peripheral, more rural counties, they're the ones that are starting to benefit in a great way because the land is within that target zone through time and mileage. You have amazing access and infrastructure, which is being improved rapidly, that you're living through and driving through. So just keep that in mind, that you are not off the grid on that. You're now dead center in the middle because your land's available and it's less expensive and the access is great. So, and frankly, some of the things that people need to do in processing, development, innovation technology hubs, they don't need them to be in hyperactive centers so they can do the things they need to do. So just keep that in mind. Public health and safety, I added a wellness factor to this as we get into the objectives a little bit when you go through your draft in the next week. Takes into the developed and the undeveloped natural corridors, your open space, your conservation areas, your parks, your trails. You're a huge part of that throughout the Northwest plan for the state. Infrastructure and mobility improvements, workforce, economic development, which dovetails in with that economic development. It's kind of one of the cause and effects of your job creation that comes out of that. And then public transit opportunities, which are regional. And there are some JTA links that we actually went through on the community workshop, so we can get into that in a minute. I want to focus on the target initiatives for a minute. There are 3. So looking at your Stark bypass, there are 4 intersections. The northernmost, then the State Road 16, then the State Road 100, and then your southern. And to someone who's driving through it, they might think that they're all the same, even though if you look at an aerial or an overhead map of what's going on there right now, you may see a lot of agricultural land, then you may see some residences, you may see a little bit of commercial. But based on your future land use map, which we are sharing all this information with North Florida Professional Services as they're updating your plan right now. So that way they can contemplate what we're suggesting in this strategic development plan because there's an element in your comp plan about economic development and the future land use map. So we want to make sure that what we're doing does not conflict or contradict in any way what they're doing. So we've been sharing resources 100%. So this looks at the different character of each of these. These are just the three. I'm going to show 16 in a minute, just that's a little bit different. You have opportunities for commercial, intensive to general, so anything from soft or retail commercial. You have definite opportunities for mixed use in single family and multifamily residential, and the traditional transitional buffers that you've got there. I know that there are some large property owners that I've worked with in the past and have been in communication with regards to this plan and looking at these concepts that we want to make sure we're aware of what they're programming, so that way we can make sure that they're aware of how to position and be sensitive to where your needs are, where their needs are, and how those collide in a positive way. So especially about the next intersection I'm going to show you, 16. So 16 is where you have infrastructure improvements that have already are running northbound on that, and I believe in the next year we've got extensions of utilities and infrastructure that are going to continue north on 16. Those are critical because those tee up future developments to come in, right? So if you have things turnkeyed, if you have the entitlements in place or the vision to do so and the flexibility to do so, which is definitely what this development plan is about. It's about laying the groundwork. When you have people come in, you can sit down with your economic development partners and say, look, we're ready for you. We've already started to contemplate, and we're easily ready to be nimble to make these changes and facilitate that quick change. If they need to do entitlements, which they most likely will have to do, and then staging the infrastructure that makes that possible, because most likely all of these types of users are going to need water and sewer. And so running those, unless they bring in package plans. So those will be dealt with site-specific based on the merits of that project. The conceptual rendering that's on the right, that just contemplates if you were to actually break out some of the planning for the 16th intersection and how you could use some of the commercial office flex space for logistics, which is definitely over capacity as far as usage. Total absorption in Northeast Florida is what's happening with flex space. They can't build it fast enough. They can't build it appropriately enough to actually be what the users need. So that is something that we're seeing on roadways just like this bypass is something that's a perfect asset. And it's easy to put up, and it does not actually require a lot of utilities. In fact, you can do it on septic and well because they don't have a lot of the users and employee and staff and bathroom fixtures that would require a lot of that. Instead, you could do it on septic and well. So that makes some of that much more nimble. So moving into the airport, and if you want to stop me at any time and ask me any questions, please do so. I'm kind of moving through this quickly so then we can get into discussion and I can go back to them. Second target initiative is Keystone Airport. So the image you see on the left is a conceptual plan of how to look at the Bradford County side of the airport. This was a Bradford County written and sponsored grant that was awarded. So we worked with the Bradford County land on that airport side because it's bifurcated, of course, as you know, between Clay and Bradford. So not that Clay doesn't have property in the infield and the outfield of the airport to look at in the future, but this focused purely on Bradford's land. So when you see the gray area, and then there's yellow area and red area. So that talks about the retail commercial office is on the peripheral. You have some of the more aerospace and aeronautical sensitive uses in the yellow, and then a lot of hangars and flex space that can really shape shift on a lot of different mixture of uses that the FAA allow for in the gray. That encapsulates about 600 acres right there. So that led to a current tenant who is putting a deal together that we worked with to actually build 100 acres in phase 1 and then 600 acres in phase 2. So the image on the right is an actual concept plan that we shared with the group, and I believe it's not under an NDA anymore. Usually these things are done under non-disclosure agreements, but General Eifert did a presentation before the Keystone Heights City Council, and I was told it was on the front page, so I guess it's for public consumption now. So there is a group in Dubai that we have been working with, and the RANA group has done several of these overseas, and what they want to do is do technology innovation development in 100 acres in phase 1. So I know it's hard to see in the smaller exhibit, but you look up, does this have a pointer on it? This box right here is 5 acres. Anything in this infield, this triangle, like this baseball diamond, so to speak, that's gotta be aerospace directly. It can't be the peanuts that are sold on the plane. It's gotta be the parts of the technology that's used to actually make that aeronautical vehicle or part or service work. Drones could be, that's another serious thing that's been going on out there. I don't know if you've been aware of that, but Mr. Cornegay and General Eifert have had incredible events out there with the DOW and the Pentagon and several other, I think, folks that have come in, serious capital stack that's been looking at probably being the second tenant that we're going to work with. So then looking, this doesn't want to work. So this group, does this one work? All right, well, it's not going to work. So I'll use a pencil or towel. This area here, this light gray, that's 95 acres. This right here is a proposed road that has already been approved and designs have already been put in. DOT has already approved it, and I believe the funding is already 100% funded. It just has to come down to the construction. I've actually driven it several times, and there's a roadway that actually temporarily dead ends into a barricade, so they're ready to go ahead and make that continue on and then build that road. This is going to allow for better access inside the infield or the outfield of the airport. So the 95 of phase 1 is in the gray. The little box is also part of that. The extra 600 in phase 2 is a part of that bubble plan that you see over here. So that's phase 2. All of that land is got to go under environmental inspections and survey, but we have looked at, our water resource group has looked at it, and other than the wetlands that are in the southwestern corner of the outer area of the outfield are maybe not in play, that we couldn't do a lot of mitigation on, but everything else is high and dry. So that's all viable property. That's real and ready to go.
Laura, I'm sorry, if I could, just to clear up on the road, the connector road that you mentioned.
Yep.
That is not currently funded. However, it is one of our appropriations asks for this budget year. We just don't know if it's going to make it through the budget or not.
This one's built though, isn't it?
Yes,
And it dead ends right there with the barricades. They're just going to connect it.
that's correct.
Yeah. But this
Yes.
one's the one that's pending.
That is right.
Any questions about what's happening out of the airport? Okay. So that has been, and just so you're aware of who all has been in the room on that for the last 7 months, is Amber Shepard with the Northeast Florida Economic Development Corporation, General Eifert, Craig Kuhn, who's the manager of the airport and the board, Marty Shaw, who's on the board of the Northeast Florida Economic Development Corporation, Scott Cornegay, myself, my head land development civil engineers, and landscape architects and water resource engineers, which we've also met on talking about putting together. There's 2 massive viable opportunities for utilities in the tune of about $60 million that we have achieved several times for other groups around the state. So that's a simultaneous effort we're doing separately as kind of an effort that actually have been working with Mr. Cornegay on since prior to this grant. So there's a lot happening, a lot moving, and as far as this particular CPTA grant, this is a part of that, and that helped the Economic Development Group and the tenant be able to come up with coordinates and conceptual plans that they couldn't deliver because the on-call group that's helping the airport had done a lot of the strategy with regards to flight paths and CCAS systems, but this involved more land development, so that wasn't in their niche. So we went ahead and tucked this in and made it work. So that is continuing on in discussion, so you'll hear more about that. And then the fairgrounds. So we first started with just a simple bubble plan, and we sat down with Harley and Scott Cornegay and Paul Huntley and our engineers and LAs, and we started talking about the different programming that's going on with the fairgrounds. So I just want you to know that we do understand that there is an ag agent ownership in a small facility on site. We also understand that there's a nonprofit that has lease agreements with several different structures and kind of easement alleyway areas within the grounds that are currently active. Within, I think, a 2-year frame or so, they may come under your discretion of continuing with the association. So just for the fun of it, we went ahead and thought about the future, which we know a year or two goes by very quickly. And that also is good preparation time on raising the money through grants, right? So we can be prepared to really program the fairgrounds. So we took the opportunity to plan this as if you have no other owners other than UF, the ag, because that's good to have them there, but as if the lease agreements had expired. So I don't want you to think that I've disregarded associations that are involved. So we looked at the structures you have currently. They're viable. They can continue to be used. They can be maintained, and they're already being used well for indoor functions and displays and activities. However, the majority of the site is not being programmed properly. It's not being used to its best potential. And how can we do that? I know that the horse arena, as they've shared with us, could be greatly programmed on an annual basis, let alone all of the different regional functions and events that go on that you hear about in other counties that you can capitalize on, that you have to have a very small investment on that has a large return. So we took that into account to do multifaceted campus master planning on this, so that way each different area of the fairgrounds could actually function as a standalone venue. Even if you don't have a fair, or you don't have a holistic entire venue going on, you can have an activity in the horse arena. You could, bless you, you could have an activity in the main event building. You could have RV parking that could be all year round. That's a wonderful revenue source, and RVs are always traveling by you and need places to hook up and stay. And so we've programmed all these things that you can make revenue 365 days a year to help further the development and programming of the fairgrounds. So that has evolved into some conceptuals that we planned. So based on all the information and the questions and the discussions with Harley and with Paul and with Scott, evolved into this. And not that this can't change, this is the first blush on everything we've heard and us looking at other grounds that are similar and what could be better. And a lot of them didn't take into account things that give you a daily and monthly revenue, like the RV parking and some of the other smaller events that don't need the entire fairgrounds. So as you can see around the perimeters on the north and the south, that's where RV parking is. The RV parking and camping along the perimeter on the north would be more of guests that would come and park all year round or during an event. The RV parking and camping on the southern area is associated with the main event buildings and with the horse arena, because people that travel with their horses and showers have to actually have a place to stay, and they always travel with a camper and RV usually. So that way, that's kept separately. Not that you couldn't program when there's not an event for visitors. Then you have your central midway corridor that continues to be activated depending on whatever the event is, and that's open flex space. Your main event building, or the only event building really, that is viable somewhat is in the southeast corner, which is here. And this is actually under a lease agreement right now with the nonprofit. So you really couldn't, unless you worked with them, I don't know how flexible that agreement is, but you don't have full reign of that building as it is. And it's really not able to hold events in the capacity that you want to program. So that central building is the main event performance barn. And that is laid out in such a way that people can still come in from the parking lot, channel through purposely, and I've experienced a lot of rural regional farm and fairs that are right around this county, and it's amazing how well that works to channel them through those buildings, because then they see the arts and crafts, they see the different food vendors, they see all the different things that need to be programmed, and it channels them through. And then as they come out of those buildings, that's when they can either continue on to the main event barn, or they can hit the midway. And then that takes you all the way through into the rodeo and then the open area. That large open area that is to the left of the performance barn can be programmed constantly. You could actually use that for more camping, you could use that for open events, you could use that for whatever you want it for. But we felt that this laid out fairly well, and it used the assets you currently have so that you save money on things you don't need to improve, or not improve, but purchase and develop. So that leads into three of the main areas that were requested that really need to be enhanced. So that was the rodeo arena, and that needed to be better facilitated with grandstands, with restrooms, with concession stands, and then of course a performance main event hall that you don't have. That would be dead center, ground zero for the entire fairgrounds. If you've seen the one that's in, I believe, Clay County, they've got something similar where you've got like a portion of it that you can actually close off, and these are built for hurricane standards, so these are not things that are easily destroyed in storms. Not that anything is 100% resilient, but this is a concept. Again, it's going to come down to when you want to move forward with that, and then of course different funding mechanisms to help you realize those. So this is just another bird's eye view looking at how you have an open performance barn, the different parking and the access with your existing structures, the enhanced horse arena, and you keep your parking in place. So with that, do you have any questions about? That's a lot to take in.
And you did, so you'll make the packet available to us so that.
You're gonna have the final, the final one's coming through tomorrow. Staff has looked at all of the narrative and all of the imagery, so they've had that to vet. So that way when you do get the product, it is a finished, final product that's much more filtered down, so then you can get into the critical areas. Do you agree with the objectives? Do you agree with the performance measures that hold you accountable, not just to the community, to your stakeholders, to one another, to the tax base, to your own staff and your budget, and then of course your partnerships that you got. So I'm gonna make sure you have that. So by next Thursday, we have to send that to the state. So I would ask you that if you could look through that and critical areas that you want changed or revised, that can be done really easily, really quickly. I need to be working on those by Wednesday because it'll alter the entire package, so I can get that out. But remember, the state is not as concerned about the qualitative of how you're going to continue to keep this living document evolving and changing. Even if you see something 6 months from now, and then you bring it before each other and you say, we want to change this, or we saw something we didn't think was in here, and now we want to add it. So don't think that it's done. So when it goes to the state, that's satisfying a grant requirement because you're being reimbursed for all that money. But as far as the final evolution and approval, that's up to you when you want to do that. So.
But you were asking for feedback from us by
Yes,
Tuesday.
Well, feedback on critical dissent of sending that out so we can make those changes, because we're going to send it to the state. So I would imagine, given how much this has been vetted, I would hope that whatever you see that you want to add or change, and it kept in line, again, you all seen the original goals. Most of the core content came from the document that you all used. I believe, I'm not sure the last time you all looked at it, but this was it?
Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
Okay, so this, so 2023. And then the outline, I believe, was the kind of the skeleton of that came from this document. Started that. Okay. So what's been added, it's been heavily populated by all the input from the residents, from the stakeholders, the business owners, educational institutions, DOT ag agents, folks from 1,000 Friends of Florida. So there's everything from wellness and natural environment protection of waterways and greenways, and we've got objectives in there for you and performance measures to work with your partners on that, as well as all your economic development, your job creation, and your infrastructure. And then of course, there's a couple new things that people didn't realize, I don't think, that you can utilize, and I believe, Madam Chairwoman, you and I spoke about it, is that JTA has a transit bus that works in Baker County. And because I was their director for several years and still work with them regularly, they've got something that's going right by you. And there used to be one that was coming down this road to go into Gainesville. So I think it would be a very, very good discussion to have with JTA about reinvigorating that and making that quick jog down to pick up folks here to either head east and west or head south. And that's doable. Otherwise, local transportation for more rural counties tend to be things like St. Johns County has used for years, like Little Sunshine Bus, stuff like that. But there's some opportunities. I know you're working with the regional council on your diabetes and doctor visit transit, which I think is still being utilized and they fund. So there's opportunities to further the JTA transit though. So.
I think it's in Clay County
too. And with the expansion of 301 and all the development that's programmed and planned for 301, it's a route that has to be contemplated. And I'm sure it's on paper somewhere, but we're gonna give them a nudge to show them why they need to start doing it now. So.
Any questions?
Just a comment, I see Ms. Dietrich in a lot of different organizations, and she is always around a lot of people that I think that it lends to her experience and what she's given us, and she's always a big player in the room, I'll say that.
I don't know about that.
Say that. Yeah, you know, through the ULI and some of the other organizations, and so we appreciate what you've done, and very professional, and we look forward to giving you some feedback and getting some more feedback from you, and hopefully from people in the room too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing, is that the survey we want to post online so that can be an active thing that can still keep coming in. And then also for folks that didn't come out to the meeting, it was advertised in the newspaper and online. But I mean, no matter how many ways you advertise something, people are busy. They don't see it, they don't look, and if they're not talking about it in the grocery store or out at the restaurant or church or wherever they are, people are going to miss it. So I don't want people to think, again, this is a living document. This is a living tool that needs constant feeding and evolution. It's going to roll. It's kind of like a CIP that focused purely on economic development instead of improvements, right? So it should always be moving and staying constant with how you're going to grow. And then one other thing I mentioned earlier, I just want to reiterate for everybody, is that the CPTA grant, the state legislature went into double innings last year, and so they did not award grants until very, 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 very late. So we did not even find out technically that we won it until December, but we knew since we won it, let's keep going. Like, let's not wait for a contract, it'll all be fine. So we just kept going. We didn't actually get a contract until I think March, which is fine. Everybody's good for it, we're fine. But the legislature's trying to compensate for being late and later and later every year. So what did they do? The deadline's never going to change. They may be late to telling us go, but they always make May 31st. You still have to have it in. So the deadline for submittal is always August 1st. Well, they moved it to May 1st and didn't tell anybody. But because we're the grant people, that's one of our heavy loads that we carry, and watch out for all of our constituents. We were aware of it, but we'd already been talking about what the next grant would be. So we did collaborate on how to move forward, and we did a CPTA grant and got it in 2 days before the deadline to do a full strategic plan because of what's going on at the airport to completely balloon that. So I want you to know that hopefully that grant will be funded. It was very intense. I'll make sure, I don't know, Mr. Cornegay, if they have a copy of what we submitted yet, but we got into the weeds on that one, and that's packed. So we're hoping we're going to be successful. That's something we'd find out about in the fall. Depends on how late the legislature runs. So anyway, so stay tuned on hopefully another award.
And I also like to thank you for your work that was done, because the strategic planning was always very important to me, but it's important to the board and to our community, and to have something in place so that we have a guiding force and tool to help us to move forward toward plan for growth and development in our community.
So Madam Chairwoman, you're the champion of that. You started that. You pushed and you did the heavy lifting, which helped build a good structure for what we continue to populate. So thank you all for making the initiative even getting going. So it's good timing.
I want to thank you for all the work that you put in this, and seeing the fairgrounds laid out and that horse arena. That really, it's wonderful to look at something and get a true visual.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And the sites, the designations on the bicep or on the bypass that you had put. Thank you for all that, and this is amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing it or sitting down with it. So thank you again.
Thank you. You know what's interesting also I want to point out, because listening to the comments, which I totally understand, public comment about costs and savings and expenses and how everything impacts what you do. What's really nice is at first blush, and people might look at this plan and go, oh, God, that just looks so expensive. That's so much stuff. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Strip away what we're looking at here. Parking lot already exists, which is the most expensive part because asphalt is incredibly expensive. So that's easily a $1 million parking lot, I can tell you. Actually, probably more. 5 or 6 of those structures already exist and are in pretty good shape. They can, be maintained, but they're built for outdoor use. They're not built to be, air conditioned, pristine, weather protected type of buildings. So those are in good shape. And the grounds are there. You own the land. So the majority of what you're looking at is either already in existence and in ownership and built. So really the only costs other than setting up some hookups for RVs and building the main outdoor structure is just grooming some things. So actually the cost to do this is very low and can be funded through other incentives and job creation and growth grants. So that might look like a lot of money, but it's actually not. So mostly soft costs there. And the revenue actually can start generating the money from some of the RV parking that'll pay for some of these events, so. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So, Madam Chairman, if you could, Laura, I just want to thank you personally. I tell you what, we've been working hard together on this for several months now, and Commissioner Doherty, you'll appreciate this. The speed at which Laura was operating tonight during her presentation is about 50% throttle. When she operates with Amanda and I, she's at 100% throttle, if you can imagine that. So yeah, she's high energy, high speed, and I believe she's delivered us an outstanding product.
In Baker County, they tell me to slow down when I talk. Not that they can't understand what I'm saying, but I get going get a little excited. So I appreciate you allowing me to do this. It's a lot of fun, and I hope that we definitely already know how to get the resources to help you to make this happen. So, and you will get your final draft tomorrow.
Okay, we're looking forward to it.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
And anyone in the crowd, if you want any information, I probably didn't get there at the very end, and staff has it. That's my cell phone number and my email address. I never sleep, so you can call me whenever you want. And I'd love to share the survey, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And this is a public document, so this will be put out for everybody too. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, and next we have our community organizations 2026, 27 fiscal year.
Madam Chair, this is an action item, and the consensus from the budget workshop was to fund all the organizations at last year's levels, except for the Florida Original Tourism Task Force, which would be eliminated from the funding.
All right. So we need to take ask for a motion. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Yes, I will make a motion to approve the recommendation from staff to eliminate the
Florida Original Tourism Task Force.
Yeah, and then keep everything funded as it was funded last year, without any additional organizations funded at this time.
Okay, the motion by Commissioner Doherty, funding all of the organization as they were funded last year and eliminating the one on the tourism.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Doherty, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor by sign aye.
Aye.
It's 5-0. Okay. The clerk's report, you said? No report. And any recommended for the sheriff? No. The county manager?
Nothing to report.
Okay. And our county attorney?
Nothing tonight, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner comments? From Ms. Andrews? Okay.
Well, there is one thing that I wanted to bring up just for food for thought and something that we kind of need to look at. 3 years ago, going on 4, we had a problem in the office, and we had requested that we have someone sent, and Dr. Sanders is the one that came to us. And that's been a long, like I said, it's been 3 years almost, going on 4. She has done an outstanding job, and I feel like we owe her a great deal because she really has left her responsibility to come over here a day a week and just like tonight, being here tonight, because of our need. What I discovered is Swanee County had the same problem, and they were allowed to take one of their agents and make them an interim director at the facility, at their department there in Swanee County. So I talked to Mr. Carnegie about it, and I would like to see us do the same thing. Pick one of our agents and make them the director, and allow Dr. Sanders to return to her responsibility and duties, and have one of our agents getting to the position where they can promote. My recommendation would be Lizzie Whitehead. She will not be eligible for promotion until spring of next year. But I think that us having her there every day as the interim would keep us consistently moving forward. I think that every one of you know how hard she works, and she is a leader, and I think that she would represent us well. And like I said, this has nothing to do with Dr. Sanders, because everyone knows she's done an outstanding job. But I almost feel like we've taken advantage of a good situation for quite a while. So I just wanted us to think about that and maybe discuss it, since we can't discuss it any other time. So that was what I wanted to bring up.
She's a good one. She would be a good one. She's a plus.
So you're asking us to have that discussion now. I don't know that would be, I don't feel it's appropriate to do it right now, to pre-select the person. It doesn't feel like the right thing to do in this situation now.
Okay.
But I get what you're suggesting, but there's a process that we have to go by.
Well, and like I said, Swanee County's already been through this. So that's the only reason that I brought it up, is I knew that there was a process that could be done. And but this is something that, and we have to take it to the university. I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was an opportunity for us to do something for someone that's been good to us, and that I think will make an excellent director. But like I said.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll be happy to communicate with UF and get some more details into the process itself, what that would mean or what it would look like if you'd like, and then we can bring it back at the next meeting.
And also having a conversation with Dr. Sanders.
Oh, yes, by all means.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But, okay. Comments from you, from your report?
No.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Reddy?
Sure. I just wanted to bring up one thing, and, it's kind of a little bit on the negative, but at the same time, when we had our first rain the other day, a little bit of rain, immediately my phone started ringing with people wanting to eliminate the burn ban. So then, about 3 days ago, then my phone started ringing because there was a burn permit issued by Forestry, and it's in the same area on County Road 18 where they just had all them fires get away. So how in the world can Forestry issue a burn permit when we're under a burn ban? It blows my mind. So then I did a little more research. So if you got the money to have all this equipment out there, you can burn. So all the other people in Bradford County that don't have the money to have all this equipment sitting there, you can't burn a trash pile. Just wanted to bring it to your attention. I just don't understand why we're in such a drought we're in, and Forestry would issue a burn permit.
it blows my mind. It also blew my phone up. So, anyway, just a comment. So, the other thing is, I just want to bring everybody's attention, this Saturday, we're having our special needs, baseball game for the autistic kids. It starts at 11 o'clock Saturday morning at the field. If you're not doing anything, come down there. It is awesome to see. I'm just telling you. We've got a girls softball team that works with them, plays with them, and it's a regular game, and it's really fantastic. Also at 10 o'clock, we're having our first flag football game there at Edwards Road, and then at 11 o'clock, we're having our second flag football game, which that flag football is starting to go pretty good. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Then the last thing is, and it was mentioned before, please keep Gene Melvin and his family in prayers. Tremendous loss with Lynn Melvin, but just keep them in your prayers. So, and that's it.
I just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Memorial Weekend, and remember what it's all about. Thank you.
Okay. And I have a few things, reiterating what Commissioner Reddick said. We have a burn ban in place for a reason, to keep our community safe, and just ask people to please adhere to it. I too want to acknowledge the passing of our kind school board member, Lynn Melvin, and also to keep Mr. Dars in your prayers as well. We had a wonderful May Day event. They had the traveling team tournament for May Day at RJE's school site. Also to remind you all that Bradford's graduation tomorrow, and we pray for the safety of our kids when it's summertime coming up now. Also, the RJE is going to be having a summer camp, and I'm so excited that we had a visit from the PACE, Dr. Wortherly, and they're going to be moving forward to implementing their REACH program, Commissioner Doherty, and they're hoping to have an introductory session during the summer when the RJE has its summer camp, and their hope is to get started in the fall when the school system starts back. So I'm really excited about that. And I just want to invite you all on the 30th is the Shirley Ann Brown Livingston Cancer Walk fundraiser that will be in the Lincoln City areas of 2.2 mile walk. And cancer is a deadly, dreadful disease, and so we support that. And also just thankful for our budget workshop so that we are more informed on and making decisions about our budget. And I want to, I won't say it, I'll leave it, wishing best wishes to Amanda. But as we continue to look at our budget for this coming year, I'm hoping that when we have our audit that comes for this fall, that everything will be really, really great, and all of the issues, minor issues that we have would also be resolved. So the other question is, are we getting everything we need with the sheriff department and making sure that everything is going smoothly with that? I want to thank the sheriff department, our law enforcement, our correctional departments for the wonderful police memorial that they had in Union County, and their participation in that from both counties together. And with that, have a safe and wonderful Memorial Weekend. All right? And anything further? Oh, hold on. Next meeting is June the 2nd, and is our calendar at the end of the agenda?
Not on the agenda, it is on the screen now.
Okay. So on June the 2nd, 9:30. And then on June the 18th, we'll be at 6:30, our next two meetings that are coming up. All right.
Madam Chair, the Memorial Day service and ceremony will be at the new location for Veterans Park on Monday, Memorial Day at 10 a.m.
All right. Thank you. And was something else that was coming up that you gave us the flyer for on the 28th? What is that?
The 4-H.
The 4-H. Okay. All right. Nothing more. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.